I'd like to introduce you to Bennie Smith to tell a quick story. Bennie is a hero of mine, both because of what you're about to hear and also because of something bigger that he did that we actually don't have time to talk about today, but you can learn about in Scrutineers if you choose to join, because I actually have interviewed him about it there. Before this story happened, Bennie was a person like you and me, a community member like you and me, interested in elections, but without any official role. Now he's an election commissioner in Shelby County, Tennessee, which is where Memphis is. Welcome, Bennie. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Emily. So, quick story about Shelby County. We have some interest in politics in Shelby County. We had Republican sweeps of all of our county-wide races.
I think we have a slide of kind of what the typical elected officials in Shelby County used to look like.
Right, you're going to put it up?
Yeah.
So we would have a Republican sweep of all of our county-wide races, and it's a predominantly Democrat county. It's a predominantly African-American county, but there were equal numbers of lawsuits. For every name you see on this, there was an equal lawsuit of candidates suing about the election returns. And I was approached by candidates, and I offered to look at the software. When I discovered, I didn't see these videos at the time. That's so phenomenal to see it now. But I discovered that the totals were only committed. The only totals that were committed on election night were at the precinct level through these poll tapes. So I literally just went to a precinct, a high trafficked area, and I took a picture of a poll tape, and I recorded on election night that there were 548 votes. And later, about 3 or 4 days later, when they released the unofficial totals, that total had decreased from 548 to 330. And that is significant because 40% of the votes in this precinct, it was a predominantly Black precinct, and there were more precincts, but 40% of this particular precinct wasn't counted. I gave that poll tape to a candidate and then a commissioner, and that candidate went and sued with just that poll tape. And the judge basically said, somebody's got some explaining to do. And about a month later, the administrator who was conducting the elections, despite everybody trying to get him to resign, he got a vote of no confidence. They wanted him fired. They wanted him investigated. They said his thumb had his thumb on the scale. He retired a month later.
That was for a long time before this that people were saying those things.
Yeah, it's about almost 7 or 8 years. And this guy, he decided to retire a month later. And the 2018 election came around about 4 years later. And there was a complete change in the demographics of who got elected there, and it was more reflective of the electorate. This is typically what you would see in the voting populace, and the representation of those people were a lot like the voting bloc. And these were the same voters that were electing these Republican sweeps at the same time.
That story gets me every time I hear you tell it, Bennie, that the change that happened in the county as a result of your choice to photograph poll tapes, to check the poll tape numbers against the official results, and to take action about what you found is really profound and moving. Thank you so much for being here to tell us about it and for the work that you do.
Thank you.
So folks, this is why we need you, and we need everyone to photograph or take video of poll tapes on election night at one or more polling places where you live. It is one of the quickest and easiest actions people can take to protect the vote count. And it's also one of the most powerful, which is really cool, that you don't have to do the hardest stuff to get the most impact.